I'd love your thoughts now. We're essentially a week after the presidential debate, and I was reading a little bit about your history and the fascinating time that you were involved. You were accused of not giving Biden a handover straight away. You said that wasn't the case. His team said it was. I'd love to know your thoughts essentially on the entire, and I'll call it a debacle because it feels like it at the moment, Biden v. Trump.
I watched the debate. It was kind of like a slow-motion train wreck that you're watching. As an American, I was a little bit saddened to see President Biden be so unable to think logically and communicate intelligibly. And I can't imagine being in the United States right now in the White House or the Democratic National Committee, the party that is responsible for nominating the next Democratic nominee. There's got to be serious concern that President Biden is not capable of serving effectively. I kind of worry as an American about the message that sends to our adversaries throughout the world. Far be it for me to talk about the Chinese threat to Australian citizens who live with it every single day and know it viscerally within their DNA about the challenges that we face. But it was really, really troubling for me to watch such a public meltdown of such a wonderful gentleman and such a wonderful American who has committed so much of his life to the United States and to public service. And, it was really kind of heartbreaking, to tell you the truth. I thought President Trump did a phenomenal job, and he provided a vision and had the opportunity, I think, to really be very aggressive. And it was almost as if he recognized that something wasn't quite right.
I agree with you absolutely. I'm so glad you made that point, because I thought the exact same thing. I was worried prior that Trump might go into this and Biden would do what we knew Biden would do, which is what he's done for the last 12 months at least. And I thought if Trump takes advantage of this or is nasty, so to speak, or moves into that territory, then it's not going to help Trump either. But I thought he was really incredibly disciplined. Biden made a couple of points that just are not true, particularly when it comes to the fact that other countries fear/respect America. Not the case at all. We'll remember that famous example where he was asked about the threat of Iran. He said they know not to. And just days later, US troops were killed. It doesn't appear to me that there's any country in the world that looks at America and fears the current administration. Do you think that changes with Trump in office?
I will overshare with you, Erin. And I did not know President Trump before I worked with him in counterterrorism at the White House. I also was a little bit fearful of some of the narrative that was espoused by some of the left-leaning media in the United States, that somehow he was unhinged or incapable of making meaningful national security decisions. Everything I saw about President Trump really, in many ways, reminded me of President Reagan, who acknowledged that peace through strength was the way to go forward. And what I learned from President Trump was saying what you mean and following through on your actions. A lot of people criticize him about he doesn't like allies, he doesn't like partners. Oh, he made it very clear in the debate the other night. He's like, everybody pay your fair share. We're all about partnerships. We're all about allies. That, I think, actually AUKUS is the template for what President Trump believes in his heart, which is he much prefer bilateral, trilateral, smaller relationships with trusted partners and allies. So I'm very positive if the administration changes and President Trump has another term, that our alliance structure will actually be reinforced.
Again, I say you make a really good point, and I promise I'm not sucking up, but you really do. You look at Trump closely, and he's actually quite pro-partnerships, as long as those partnerships are fair. People always say that he's isolationist, which he is, but that's only if the other people in the relationship are not doing anything or giving him anything. I'd love your thoughts on Israel. Trump came out very strongly the week prior to the debate, and he said that every single death in Gaza and Rafah is attributable to Hamas, which is something that I believe very strongly. What do you think we would see in the Middle East under a Trump administration?
I think President Trump was very, very clear about his willingness to strike back against our opposition and our foes. And I thought that was pretty clear. The point is, I think it's pretty clear that those that mean us harm in the Middle East, that want to expand the war beyond Gaza, are going to be extremely, extremely disappointed when they realize the power that will come down, military power, diplomatic power, informational power that's going to come down on that region. And I think that would be an extremely unstrategic and poor choice by Iran, because let's just be clear, it all comes back to Iran. And I think Iran must right now be quaking at the thought of a second Trump administration, because President Trump understands the nature of the Iranian regime and knows how to respond. And let's be clear, the only thing they respond to is force.
Before I let you go, I need to ask, well, maybe the most important question right now, and that is, will you play a role, if not the same role that you did last time, in the next Trump administration if he wins in November?
My family does public service for good or ill. I was raised that way. If I'm asked to serve, I obviously will take that very seriously. The thing with President Trump, anybody who starts measuring the drapes for their new office, that's a really bad technique to take, because President Trump will decide who his team is. I'm honored to be even considered, but to get, it sounds like such a political statement, I know, and I don't mean it that way. It sounds like I'm tap dancing and trying not to answer your question. That is for President Trump and his team to decide. I love to serve if given the opportunity, but most importantly, I just want to make sure that this is kind of a mission for our generation, is to make sure that we lead this place better than we got it, and the Chinese threat is there, and we need to respond. And I think the way we need to respond is economically, and just deterrence is going to be this idea that AUKUS and our relationship is solid and can't be broken apart. And I think that really puts our opponents in a quandary, and that's why I'm just really honored to be down here.
Chris Miller, absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, and hope you've enjoyed your stay here in Australia.
Thank you, Erin. Thanks for what you guys are doing. This is a really important discussion. So if I can be of service in the future, please don't hesitate to give a shout out. I can come in from the United States, or give me an excuse to come back with my family soon. Thank you.